Hello, Phoenix here, and this is my self to show up and offer myself in this way. I came on a couple of days ago during the new moon and shared about this vision I've had, this desire I've had to come on and share these kind of podcast like sharings that were inspired during my 2 weeks in quarantine when I was showing up every day offering videos from quarantine. And yeah, through that journey, there was this desire or this inspiration to share these, to share in this way called behind the mask. What happens when we take off our masks or let down our armor and reveal the vulnerable tender belly that's beneath the surface. Hey Sabina, thank you for being here. Yeah, and I've been sitting on it because it's vulnerable and it's scary, and on the new moon I really felt this impulse. It's like the time is now, the time is now, and I am inspired to bring other people on to share from this place, yeah, like their personal journeys, whether no matter what that personal journey is or has been for each one of you, each one of us, myself included, to like unearth what's beneath the surface. And the way that I describe it, it's like, in the beginning of, well, I would say in the beginning, like when I first started walking on this, kind of spiritual journey or begun this spiritual quest of mine many years ago, it was like, let me fucking sledgehammer. Let's sledgehammer to see what's there. And it's been a while that I've done that, especially being who I am and being in Aries. It's quite common for me to bust down walls and try and sledgehammer things open, though in the past few years in particular, yeah, as I've like the deeper wounds, the deeper traumas that have been there have been emerging and peeking their heads. It's like, oh no, this is such sensitive stuff that a sledgehammer just isn't the way. And I've been describing it like an archaeologist who goes to this like ancient sacred site and doesn't work with like an axe or a sledgehammer to reveal what's underneath. Literally, it's like a little chisel with like a little brush. Chisel, 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 little brush to eventually reveal this splendor of whatever is beneath that surface. And that's, maybe it's because I've been maturing, or maybe I'm just like, tired of beating myself up to try and get to the bottom of this infinite rabbit hole of self. This this desire to really be gentle and tender with oneself has really been taken the lead in a sense. And I've had a lot of ideas of what I wanted to share on here. I mean, shit, it's like I couldn't make 100 episodes just on my own, from my own journey of removing the masks and allowing the underbelly, hey Shane, and allowing the underbelly of what I've been kind of revealing as I've like chiseled away and been my own inner archaeologist, to share from that place. Because what I've been instructed, it's like I sit, I listen, I am deepening my communion and my connection to spirit or to what that divine force is for me. And as I continue to like get still and quiet and humble in the face of life and listen, just like, what if we each had the courage to share like the preciousness that's beneath the surface, not just um the bright shiny bits, which are great. I love my bright shiny bits. Though I'm also learning to love these tender bits that have been kind of cast away and hidden in the shadows, and those for me feel like that's where the gems are, that's where the jewels are. Like any diamond in the coal mine, it takes so much pressure, so much darkness to grow this precious diamond, or the jewel in the lotus flower that grows in the mud and the darkness and the muck to reveal the splendor of this lotus flower. I mean, that's us, we are that lotus flower. We are that diamond. We are that phoenix rising from the ashes. It's such a common mythology throughout the world that the the glory, the splendor, the radiance, the preciousness, like the true, authentic, purified, alchemized version of self happens through the ardor, through the challenges, through the dying of old self and the letting go of old selves, and yeah, pain and pressure is actually what sculpts the beauty. And what if we, as mature awakening human beings, had the courage and the strength to reveal that journey with one another? How much courage and strength would it give to our fellow brothers and sisters, our people, to take that journey for themselves? Because I believe we're in this global initiation, this global death of sorts, this global metamorphosis of sorts that is requiring a letting go of old forms, a shedding of what no longer serves. And that's uncomfortable, the dissolving, the melting, the liquefying, the becoming goo, the having no fucking clue what is on the other side. That takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength. And I know that so many of you, so many of the people that I know and people that I have yet to know are undergoing that transformation in your own lives. And I'm really interested to hear about it, to see it more prevalent, like to see that those experiences of metamorphosis being shared more, because they give me strength. They support me personally to feel like I'm not alone. And I would love to be, yeah, like a reminder to whoever feels drawn to journey with me, to witness me, or the people that may be coming on to this show that I'd love to create. This is my first episode. Yeah, that we may source resource, strength, and courage from one another. Because this story that we're all alone and we have to do it alone is also, it's another program that's been instilled in each of us, if anything, kind of like a little parasite that's been instilled in us, that we have to like be these lone wolves doing it alone, and kind of keeping our shit tight under wraps. And I say bullshit to that. Like, being human is messy. Being human is really messy. And it is like glorious blissful moments, but those glorious blissful moments, like, they're only attained, I feel, I've experienced in my experience, like they've only been attained through the going through the squeeze, the pressure cooker. I was talking to my coach this morning, and really talking to him about this, yeah, like this desire, or this remembrance, I should say, this remembrance that I'm a light being, that I'm here, a beacon of light, though it's taken me having to dive so deep into the darkness to remember that. And in the past it was like, I kind of, I wouldn't, I guess maybe I judge a little bit, like the whole like love and light, we're love and light, we're all one. Yes, we're love and light, we're all one. And that that real embodiment of that true authentic um stand of being love and light, and being one with everything, I have found has come through feeling the pain of separation, and feeling the depths of my own inner darkness. And it's through the darkness and through the separation that's led me, and I know I'm pretty sure I don't speak for myself only, that leads to the recommuning, the coming into wholeness, the claiming our light. It's like the stars don't shine in the daytime. They don't shine amongst the light. The stars shine in the depths of the darkness. The stars shine in a sea of blackness, and the darker the sky, the brighter the stars. And, go out to the desert, go out into the middle of nowhere where there's no light from the city. We kind of crave going out into those spaces, because that's where we can see the splendor and the majesty of the Milky Way, of the stars shining in the night. And those stars shine so brightly because they are surrounded by darkness. And I'm one of those stars, and you're one of those stars. And it is because of the darkness that allows this light to shine so much brighter. Yeah, so I said that the theme of my podcast this morning, of my little of my sharing, was going to be beyond death life, because I every morning I sit at my altar, and I work with some cards, and I work with some prayers, and I work with the fire and offering herbs to the fire. And the card that I pulled this morning was beyond death life. It's the first card. So like in the tarot deck it would be the Fool. In the Rumi deck that I've been playing with, working with, it's this is the card beyond death life. And it was, it's really apt for where I'm at in my life right now. There's been a lot of death, like not only of my father, though that death of my father was kind of like connected metaphorically, like actually kind of in my psyche, to like the death of the masculine, kind of pedestaling the masculine, or like seeking love outside of myself, seeking love and belonging at the sake of my own integrity, my own love for myself, giving myself away, giving my center away, abandoning myself to feel this kind of false sense of love and connection. And yeah, these past couple of months, this year in particular, in these past couple of months, since I've returned to Australia, have been a real reclamation. And part of that has been just allowing it to die, allowing myself to fully die, all parts of myself. And again, those of you who have known me, cutting my hair 3 weeks ago was part of that. Like literally cutting off the past, cutting off these parts that I've been like, these insecurities, these doubts, these connections and relationships to people and places and experiences that kept me like fixed in an old way of being. And yeah, like I say yes to what's beyond the death, but in order to like allow a new beginning to commence, there has to be a full willingness to allow what's ending to end. And I mean, wow, there's like so many different levels and dimensions of that, on a personal level, on a collective level, on a global level. It's like there is a death process that we're in. We're in a death process, and we're always in that death process. Just from the moment we are born, we're like moving towards death, and this culture that I was raised in that is like so anti-death. I feel like it's such a curse to so many of us, because we grasp onto something of the past, we grasp onto the known in order to protect ourselves from the unknown, the death, the death of the mind that wants to have clarity on what comes next. The death of the plans that are like, I'm going to be here at this time next week, in 5 years, my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan. Like, yeah, and that's kept us safe and secure in a way. And nothing wrong with the desire to feel safe and secure. I get it. Like, I want to feel safe and secure as well. However, through this journey, this past year, these past couple of months, I've really shifted that. Like the locus of control has kind of come back to self. How can I allow myself to create safety and security from the inside out? Safety and security from the inside out, because everything that I hold on to on the outside, it's going to change. It's going to shift. The form is going to shift. It's going to die. Like my dad, who was my hero, my safe harbor from my whole life, he died. And that's part of life. Like, we will lose the things that we love. We will lose those external forces that hold us, in a sense, to ourselves. And so I've really kind of shifted my energy towards cultivating these unshakable grounds inside of myself. And that includes other people and other places, and the land itself, and the people that are closest to me. Though also some of the old people, like some of the old forms of relationships, I've had to let go of, or I've chosen to let go of in this year, because as I mentioned in a previous video, they weren't supporting the vision for myself that I could feel was wanting to be birthed. Connections to people, and yeah, relationships and connections that were actually kind of holding me in like a holding pattern of who I was at one point in my life, but that's not what life has been calling me into. And so the choice, which has been a really difficult choice, really difficult decisions to let go of, safety blankets, especially when they're people that we love dearly, deeply, that we've journeyed with for a long time, perhaps. That's in my case, specific friends that I've known for a very long time, that I've journeyed with super deeply, that I have loved with all my heart. There's something inside of me was also kind of clutching and grasping to these particular people as like a safety mechanism to not step forward into the unknown. So in making that decision to let go of the riverbanks that were like these other people, these relationships, it's like I've had to surrender into a bigger flow. And that's taught me a lot, to surrender into a bigger flow. Like, can I just give myself permission to be this flow? The death, letting go of the known forms in exchange for this new life that's emerging. It's like I love working with metaphor, and in particular, looking through the lens of nature in order to understand myself and my reality. I'm a deep diver. I'm a seeker. I'm no shame in that anymore. Like, I love the mystery. I love it. It turns me on, like moving deeper and deeper into the unknown, and and not necessarily, needing to understand with my mind, because I realize there is no understanding any of it with my mind fully, without really giving myself permission to dive into an inner standing through my body, through my heart, through my soul. And so I've been, yeah, really loving sometimes can be painful or tough love. Love isn't just beautiful, glorious, blissful, ecstatic. Love is also messy and deep and confusing and annihilating at times. And so when I say I've been loving diving into the depths, have been with that kind of bliss and pain, the bliss and the grit kind of hand in hand, walking with me to find this place of balance, this place of center, this place of inner standing, and from that place in expression, into the world. Because, yeah, I want to know. I want to know who I am. I want to know what I am, and what and feel my kind of intrinsic connection to the bigger self, the bigger body, which is this earth, the bigger self that is this cosmos, and that really excites me. And by choosing to step up and out into the world through this channel of interweb, social media kind of sense, it's like I want to find the others. Like, I want to find the others, like, that get turned on by the mystery. I want to find the others who are diving deep into the depths to uncover and reveal the majesty of what lies beneath the surface, the precious sacred spaces inside and outside that are there. And I want to find the others. I want to find myself totally surrounded and immersed inside of, or immersed within, a container, a collective of people who are willing and courageous enough to do this work, because I believe this is the work that's necessary at this time to not only welcome the life that's on the other side of this death process that we're in collectively, but to inspire and encourage and empower one another to keep going, because we're in it together, whether we like it or not. And I say, since we're in it together, let's like really be in it together. Let's find the others. One of my dear brothers, Ragnar. I'm looking at a picture of him on my ancestor altar because he passed away a couple of years ago. That was one of the things he would say to me all the time. Find the others. Find the others. And I really am such a becoming such an advocate of that because I know I was um very much programmed with needing to do it alone and having to be alone, and that kind of martyring even is just like such a bullshit old story. It's like, oh, I'm alone together, I'm alone together, let's be alone together and find the others so that we can allow ourselves to be birthed anew and together birth a bigger consciousness together as well. And so, yeah, this desire to show up in this way, it's what is fueling. It's been a fuel. It's been inspiration. It's been fueling me to come out in a deeper way. It's like I feel like right now I'm in the total mystery. I'm in the total mystery, and can I be okay with that? Can I allow myself to kind of sit back and relax in this? I don't know. I don't know what comes next. I don't need to know. Like, yeah, I've got some ideas, I've got some visions, I've got projects that I work on, I've got offerings that I put out into the world. Though, really, there's such bigger prayers that are kind of being revealed from within as I continue to like chip away at the surface, chip away at the parts of self that are no longer in resonance with this, yeah, clarified, refined, alchemized version of self. Yeah, because as I continue to allow myself to melt in that crucible of transformation and alchemy, there's something beyond my mind's imagining, beyond my wildest dreams that is emerging. And I trust in that. I really trust in that, even though this mind is kind of like, ooh, what's happening? Like give me some solid ground to stand upon. And it's like, okay, here's the solid ground right here. This body, God bless this body, and the people that are currently in my life, even though they may shift and change, I can right now, they're here, and I can lean in and allow myself to be reminded by these really beautiful, loving, strong reflections that I choose to keep close. Like I choose to keep those loving, strong, supportive reflections close because they mirror to me who it is that I am and who it is I want to be for myself and for others. Again, which is why I've had to let certain other relationships die. Those forms have had to like lovingly be offered to the fire, lovingly be offered to transform into some new form that is yet to emerge. Though when the reflections around me are not supporting who I kind of know myself to be, not from my head, but from my heart and my soul, am I willing to kind of hold loving, firm, sometimes really firm boundaries of no, so that I can be a yes to myself and a yes to what's emerging through me? Yes to this life that is like I'm on the verge of this new life, if I can fully allow the death of the old. And I can hold the boundaries of no, like I am not going to let anything that is not in service, not in support to this new being that is emerging, anything that's not in support of that, I'm going to hold this loving boundaries to protect the preciousness of what's growing and what's birthing. And once that's birthed and once that's grown, then I can share it. I was talking about it again with my coach this morning about this desire to show up in this way here online, and there's so many tender things that I can share. Painful tender things. And part of me is just not ready to share them, even though I want to share because I want to reveal what's beneath the surface. And I want to see what's beneath the surface. It's like everything in its right timing, trusting in the right timing of things. It's like first I need to, be with this tender part of self and nurture this tender part of self and dive in a little deeper to this tender part of self to reveal what's beneath the surface. And once I can hold that, like I have the capacity to hold that, then from that place, almost like sharing it more generously. I will say though that, holding myself tenderly through this personal death and personal transformation has been one of the most challenging experiences of my life, and also one of the most courageous acts of self love that I've ever witnessed through myself. Allowing my heart to break, allowing my heart to break, allowing myself to long for the things that are not yet here, and trusting that what my heart longs for is actually kind of a piece of myself that is drawing me towards the new life at the same time, even though I can't understand with my mind. There is such a deeper intelligence here in my body that does understand, and I'm letting it take the lead. I'm choosing for it to take the lead. And that's so new for me. I've always been very kind of controlling and go getter. Like I have a vision. Let me cast my net and grab it. That and surrendering and waiting patiently has also been such a new experience for me these past couple of months. I've hardly left my house in months. Hardly leave my house. And that's very new and different. I get a bit concerned at times, like, ooh, I'm not really getting out there in the world or connecting with people. And that's okay. Like, honestly, I feel like I've got everything I need right here. I've got amazing housemates that I love so deeply, and that I feel really loved by. I live on an amazing piece of land that holds me. Yeah, and I've got some local friends that I visit occasionally, but sometimes that's even a challenge to get out of my little nest because I feel like I'm nesting. I've been nesting while simultaneously birthing. It's like this. I feel like the rebirth that I had for myself, the ritual of rebirth that I engaged with a couple of weeks ago, has been the declaration that I'm ready to come out of the darkness into the light. Though again, like the darkness is a part of it. Like I shine bright in a sea of darkness, and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay to continue cultivating that relationship with the darkness so that I can shine more brightly in the world, and for all my relations, and be in service to something bigger than myself. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to share for now. I want to try and keep these episodes short, palatable, bite size, so that people might actually be willing to witness with your attention, with your presence, because I value your presence and I value your attention as much as my attention and my presence is such a precious resource. So yeah, I will attempt. Yeah, I'd like to set a goal for myself to show up once a week, to share in this way. Even though I've been given some really amazing downloads on how to like start a podcast, it just feels a bit complicated. And that part of myself that's like, no, I just want to do it now, is like, yeah, let me just jump and show up and see what happens, and then I could kind of backtrack and refine. Though let me show up messy. Let me be messy. I want you to be messy. And can in that mess, can we just trust the beauty and the perfection that grows? Just like the lotus, like the diamond, all of those beautiful reflections that nature gives us of the majesty that's grown from the mess, from the muck, from the rubbish, from the compost. They're like two sides of a coin, um, balance each other out. This amazing gift of duality that we have in this lifetime. That like brings us closer and deeper into our center. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thank you for those of you who have been here witnessing, those of you who might watch. Yeah, and like I said, I would love to interview people who are interested in showing up behind the mask, taking off the mask and showing up and sharing some of your story. I will share some more of my story in coming episodes. Maybe I'll do another one episode on my own or two. Who knows? I'll do whatever I can because this is I'm creating this reality right here and now. Though I do want to yeah, welcome other people to come share their story as well. So there's no rush. I don't know where this leads. I just know that it's my heart is telling me to show up and share. And so I'm going to listen to that and trust, If somebody wants to try and pin me down or put me in a box, it's not going to work because, yeah, there's no box that can define me anymore. I've really, yeah, I feel like any box I try and put myself in tends to not be a very good fit. So I'm going to let that be okay and invite the possibility that many of us, if not all of us, can just bust out of our boxes and allow like the full psychedelic multi-dimensional versions of ourselves to come through, come out, and be like, take the lead, take the stand, be uh like front and centered in life. Yeah, courageous and willing to live unarmored, unmasked, to let our tender underbellies show so that we can love each other, we can connect with one another, we can touch one another and be touched more deeply by one another. So I've gone over my 30-minute mark. Blessings. Thank you. I love you. I'll be back.